In the last 90 days, the federal government has posted 6,666 newly proposed federal regulations at regulations.gov. Sometimes it's not the new regulations that are the issue, it's the old ones that aren't being enforced uniformly. Every year, wind farms kill hundreds of thousands of federally protected birds, including bald eagles and golden eagles. Each of those deaths is a federal crime. But according to an Associated Press investigation, while oil, gas, and electric companies have been prosecuted for bird deaths, wind farms have gotten a complete pass. The Obama administration not only hasn't prosecuted wind farms, it's actively shielded the industry from liability. Robert Bryce, a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, calls it a case of crony capitalism. Robert, thanks for joining us today. Explain, because this is a
Sure.
field you're very familiar with. Explain what the law says and who's getting in trouble.
Well, thank you, Shannon. One quick point. We haven't seen any bald eagles killed yet, or at least any documented case of bald eagles being killed by wind turbines. But the two laws that are at issue here are the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, one of the oldest federal wildlife laws in America, and the Eagle Protection Act. What we know for certain is that over the last 3 years or 4 years or so, we've seen at least 60 golden eagles killed by wind projects across the U.S., mainly in Wyoming and California. And there is yet to be a single prosecution either under the Eagle Protection Act or the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, even though we know there's widespread killing of migratory birds by wind turbines. Not a single prosecution of the wind industry despite these widespread violations.
Yeah, and according to the Wildlife Society Bulletin, by their count, 573,000 birds were actually killed by these wind farms. There are very high penalties. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. Some of these go into felony territory. Why aren't the wind farms getting any heat?
Well, this is the nut of the issue, Shannon. It appears that the Obama administration, and even if you look at some of the statements from the top officials at the Fish and Wildlife Service, they're saying, well, climate change and CO2 is such a threat that we can effectively ignore these statutes. These statutes are very clear, Shannon, and they say, in case of the Eagle Protection Act, after the first violation, each subsequent violation is a felony. But look at the Pine Tree Wind Project in Southern California, owned, by the way, by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. There are already 9 cases of golden eagles that have been killed at that one facility, and yet no felony charges. In Wyoming, Duke Energy, again, numerous golden eagle kills, no felony charges. There is no waiver provision in either of these federal laws that allow the Obama administration to say, well, King's X, CO2, we care more about that than the wildlife.
We know this is a topic you've written about many times, Robert Bryce. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Shannon.